Saturday, August 28th, add it to your calendar. The Sports Betting Channel presents To Be Determined. Our new show starts at 8 o'clock out here in San Diego, 11 o'clock in New York, and then we're done just in time for the first game kickoffs for college football. You're going to get 4 totally different slices of sports. Blackhawk West joins us for Saturdays in Canada and some plays for the CFL game. What do you do when the easy sports data is trending in opposite directions? Well, Mo's going to help us decide what to do on Something's Gotta Give. There's also Paulo's plays. Now, if you're not betting soccer, you really should be. And this guy is very, very good. Finally, there's Wake and Bake, where sports betting meets marijuana. Hey, the games start early here in Southern California. Now, 9 o'clock's a lot easier when marijuana is legal. It's like having 4 shows in one. Check it out Saturday, August 28th on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, and on the Sports Betting Channel.
Live from Armory Studios in Central Florida, you're listening to Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
All gas, no break.
And now, give it up for your hosts, CJ, Kevin, Jimmy, and Harrison. Take it away, boys.
What is going on, everybody? Jets by Jimmy here, taking the reins for Weapons Hot tonight. We're missing CJ. He's out camping right now. We got Speedy Petey and Josh Silverberg on the line with us. Kevin should be here in a little bit. I think he's running a little bit late, so I apologize about the late start. Guys, what's going on?
If Kevin Jackson doesn't show up tonight, I'm gonna text him. I'm gonna be so upset. Jimmy, I love you. I do. And the fact that CJ wasn't even here too is also like, well, I mean, what is this? I come on and everybody hides.
No, I'm right here. I'm right here, man.
I mean, that's like, come on, what are we doing here? He's out camping?
Either that or he's looking for his rum choice of the night.
No.
There you go.
I mean, after watching the Jet game last week, I didn't understand too. I'm still getting over that game.
It is what it is. That was a rough one, and the 3 keys to victory that I had for the Jets last week, they didn't do any of them. So that's pretty much what happened. But yeah, I don't even. That's one of those that you just want to forget, and it's really hard for folks like us that do these types of shows when you just don't want to talk about that damn game. You know what I mean?
Burn the tape.
Burn it. Get rid of it. It never happened.
Burn the tape. You burn the tape. You I guess you rinse yourself off and you get to next week, right? Against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it is? I mean,
well, and what
there's no break.
I think what the most important thing that I said needed to happen was the Jets linebacking core being down CJ Mosley. They had to take away Mac Jones' bread and butter, and his bread and butter is the little short passing game, the check down game. And I hated that Damian Harris was running all over us. He's not a premier running back, in my opinion. And our D-line just couldn't handle it. The linebackers couldn't take away that passing game, and it just got bad quick.
I look at it in this perspective, Jimmy. It's at least this week, Mosley and Gerard Davis is going to make his debut for the Jets. So that's going to help somewhat. Like you said, it's the underneath throws, right? Like this team all year has not been able to stop the screens.
Mm-hmm.
The 3rd and 18s. How many times on 3rd and 17s, 3rd and 12s do teams do underneath throws and they get first downs? Like that should not be happening.
Too often.
It's too often. It happens way too much. It happened, remember, against, I believe it was a 3rd and 18 for Tennessee, and they got a first down a couple weeks back. And I was like, what are we doing? It's frustrating. Saleh says all gas, no break. I'm still waiting for the gas. I mean, because the gas hasn't started yet. I think the ignition is gone or something like that. Something needs to be fixed or whatever. Because
we got to be push started right now.
There's a lot of braking. There's a lot of brakes that need to be, But listen, I know this is a young team. I get it. It's a frustrating sequence. You're a Jet fan. I'm a Jet fan. CJ, Jax, we know this. It's frustrating to watch. And the thing, when we were talking before the show started, the thing that really bothered me too, though, is how many times all season, Jimmy, have we seen these roughing the passer calls get called, and Zach Wilson nearly gets his leg amputated, and nothing is called. Nothing.
No, I watched the play where Judon hit Zach Wilson, and you can watch the replay on that. Wilson throws the ball, and then after the ball is released, you see Judon accelerate into it. And that, like, textbook roughing the passer. Like, he had 3 yards that he was charging it at Wilson after the ball had gone. And I don't know. Like, I'm not one to blame referees for the outcomes of games because so many things.
An easy excuse.
But there are some things that should be called that weren't called, and it was a bad one all the way around.
I mean, it was just a mess going into it,
And it's really easy to look at like the stat lines and understand that we do have a really good defense. We do, along those stat lines, yeah, we have a really good defense. But you're absolutely right, is we're not getting the opposing offenses off the field. And then our offensive game plan is just as bad as it was last year. And that's the problem. You can't have 5 drives where you get a total of 20 yards in a first half. You can't go 6 games and not have a first quarter point. Like, it just doesn't work. So that was one of my other keys to victory is Mike LaFleur's got to get something going on the game plan. He's got to make one of the aspects of our offense scary so that it opens up the other side, whether that's the run game, whether it's a passing game. You got to make one part of the offense legitimate so that it opens up the other side of the ball. And it hasn't been doing it. And I think that he needs to start working some more short passing game. It's working for Mac Jones, so he's got to do something in the short passing game, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, it really is, when you look at the whole thing, like we were saying, you want to flush the tape, right? Rinse it off, get it out, don't watch it, and then go back. And it's like, okay, great. Now you have the Bengals, who are hot as can be right now, coming off their best win in how many years? Joe Burrow's looking like an MVP caliber quarterback now.
Yeah, he is.
And he's coming in. Jamar Chase already is looking like a top 5 receiver in this league in his rookie season. It's insane what he's doing, right? Like, it's crazy. And I'm not one of those guys that is always like, let's draft the receiver top 5, because it's you never know sometimes, right? Like, you don't know, because every now and then, okay, so you get the Calvin Johnsons of the world, but then you might get, I don't know, a Sammy Watkins or something like that. You don't know. You can't hit on all of them. You don't know the talent, everything like that. And I know Jet fans are now saying, okay, we might have 2 draft picks in the first 15 rounds in the first 15 picks next year in the first round. It's maybe they need a receiver. But the problem is, I don't know if there really is. I have to look at the pool again. If there is that top tier talented wide receiver that's worth a top 10 pick right now, I don't know.
I mean, your thoughts would probably have to go to Chris Olave from Ohio State if you're thinking receiver that early.
I might lag a little bit. I'm going to look at a mock draft really quick, though.
Yeah, no worries. Personally, I think that while our defensive secondary is very young and doing very well this year, I still want Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU.
So do
at corner. He is worth a top 10 pick easily. The other one I want is Tyler Linderbaum, center from Iowa.
So that's the guy the Jets need to, and I'm with you, Jimmy. The Jets need to do that because they need a center so badly. I'm sorry, I'm so over McGovern at this point. I mean, right now they have as the number 1 receiver on a lot of drafts is Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. That's the one. So that's Ole's partner. But it's
Mhm.
like this is this is not Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? Like, is he
Right.
going to be a game-changing receiver worth a top 10 pick? You know what I mean? Like right now in mock drafts, this one has the Jets taking Thibodeau from Oregon, and then they have from Cincinnati the cornerback. See, and now my computer's talking to me. I'm Ahmad Gardner, who's the
Mhm.
cornerback from Cincinnati. You know,
That's the
but
kid that's nicknamed Sauce, right? Sauce Gardner, I think, something like
yeah,
that.
Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. Like, he flies all over the field. Another guy they could look at is Houston, the safety from Notre Dame, because
Mhm.
obviously Jamal's out. May wants to stay. Again, see, it's lagging, so I said to you, it's good. There you go. Now it's all caught up. It was like fast forward. It was like, whoa, I didn't realize I could talk that fast. That's crazy. Now listen, if the Jets get like the second overall pick in the draft and like Kayvon Thibodeau is there, like, do you take him? Because there's been people comparing to like Myles Garrett, and the Jets haven't had that. And I mean, you thought you had that with Carl Lawson. Maybe next year they'll get that with Lawson.
Edge is something we need as well, but
There's so many other needs on this team though. Like, their defensive backs. I mean, Jimmy, their highest draft pick on that DB room, I think, is Huff or Hall. I mean, is Bryce Hall,
yeah,
isn't it?
fifth
And he was in
rounder, fourth
the
rounder.
fifth round. So it's like, I mean, Brandon Echols has been nice, but like, these aren't number one guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not number one caliber corners.
No, Derek Stingley Jr. is my pick because I can justify even a top 5 pick for him. Linderbaum, I can also justify a top 10, top 15 pick. So obviously, we got to assume that Seattle's they're gonna win a few games down the stretch.
With
So
Wilson coming back, they'll win a few games. Now, my thought process is this too. Now, this could be a gold mine for them if they were to get the number one overall pick in the draft. Of course, they get it this year, not last year, right? With Lawrence, right? Wouldn't that be like a typical Jet way?
When you day late, $1 short.
I
Yeah.
know, right? A day late, $1. That's right. I like that. It's like you could trade that pick
Oh, definitely.
and get a haul of picks. Because let's be real
Mhm.
here. Listen, the quarterback class this year is not like Malik Willis is nice. There's some guys that are not, like the kid from North Carolina is good. There isn't that number one top tier, but that's the thing, right? Every team always overrates quarterbacks. A lot of teams in those top 3, 4, 5 picks need a quarterback. Like Detroit possibly still needs a quarterback. You know, I know they have Goff. They need a quarterback.
Atlanta will.
Atlanta needs one. Houston needs one. You know what I'm saying? So it's, Philadelphia needs one.
It's gonna make your pick really valuable if you're in the top 3.
Yeah,
If
Denver
you're in the
too.
top 3, it's valuable. But anything outside of the top 3, it's the quarterback class is pretty light this year.
It's
So
very light this year.
it's not going to be
It's
not
not
going to be as valuable if we're picking 4th or 5th.
No, and
So,
it's not.
but
Exactly.
even still, if we end up in the top 5 with our pick, then I still think that pick at this point should be traded because I do believe that Zach Wilson's the guy. I really think he's talented enough.
Oh yeah, they're not taking another
be
quarterback. Now you brought up Stingley. I'm glad you did because if they do have the 4th overall pick in the draft or 5th, you trade down them because if you trade down, you're probably not getting him.
I think if you can still stay within the top 10, then you can still get him.
I think he goes top 5 though. That's the thing, though.
It's possible. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's the only scary
again,
thing. You're playing with fire at that point, But it's
again,
like,
if you're in, like, say we're picking 3rd, if you can drop down 3 or 4 spots, you can still get those small jumps are just as expensive as somebody trying to break back into the first round.
Oh, 100%.
So,
and I completely agree with you on that. Absolutely, they are. Listen, if somebody says, all right, I'm the GM of the Washington football team, and you're the GM, and you're Joe Douglas, and I call you, I say, I'll offer you 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a fourth for the 4th overall pick in the draft or the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And you're going to say, they'll say yes. I would like to think you would say yes, depending on who he's picking. If they're picking 7th overall.
Oh, yeah. If they're,
yeah, if that's what I'm saying.
Definitely.
Nobody ever said Washington was a smart team, so they could do it.
Well, I mean, I just think we have 2 options because that Gardner kid from Cincinnati, I think, is an elite corner as well.
Yes, he is.
But that's one spot that we have to put a high draft pick in his corner. We got to get a real lockdown corner. We need a Revis 2.0.
Trying to find
but we also need that offensive line. If we get a center, then we're 66% done with that line. Because Becton's coming back. Becton is still a franchise left tackle. AVT has been playing lights out, minus a couple ineligible receivers downfield because he tends to wander upfield for whatever reason a couple of times. I think
because he thinks he wants to.
It's just I laugh because the second time it happened, they're like ineligible receiver downfield. I'm like, that's AVT, isn't it? And they're like number 75, and I'm like, damn it.
He because you notice if you look back at his tape, how many times and Becton did the same thing when he was at Louisville. How many times did he run up the field?
Mm-hmm. They want to be in the play, and you got to respect it.
Of course, absolutely. You're so accustomed and used to the situation at hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, listen, if they need Limbaum, they have to find a way to draft him. And I know Douglas is going to do everything he can to get him because look what he did for AVT last year. And let's be real here, Limbaum is a higher prospect than AVT was. So if you could get him, you have your anchor at center. And then what you could do is you could go into free agency. You could sign a Brandon Sheriff because Sheriff can't be franchise tagged again.
Yeah.
You can't. So you could sign him. And Douglas has been wanting him for the last 3 years. You could put him at right guard. And then if you really want to, if you want to put Moses at right tackle still, you can. If you want to take like a tackle in the 3rd round, whatever, that's fine.
Daniel Falele from Minnesota.
Who?
Daniel Falele from Minnesota. This kid is bigger than Becton.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, to have your bookends.
That's the size of Neil.
Oh, God. But if you can get your tackles that size, like your bookends being just gigantic mountains of human beings, that's what you want.
The only thing that scares me with JD is he going to apply all of his picks to like offensive linemen because he's seeing how bad the offensive line is this year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, he's seeing how bad it was last year too.
Nothing changes.
And I'm not blaming him, and I'm not throwing him under the bus or anything.
You can. It's okay, Jimmy. You can. Remember, this is a safe space. I'm not on it much, but I know it's a safe space.
No, I'll criticize some of Douglas's moves, but I'm always gonna support him when he takes a swing, even if the Ryan Khalil pick that's one that I always point to because that was a move that failed, but he made the move in a really tough spot.
He tried to make it work. He tried to hit lightning in a bottle. It didn't work.
But I think he needs to address corner and O-line early. I'd like to see an edge rusher in round 2, potentially. I don't know how deep the class is. I haven't really looked at anything. And I'm not talking draft as far as like, well, guys, season's over. I don't believe that.
Isn't that always what we do as Jet fans? We start planning the mock drafts in October.
It's just I think that when you have a game like we had last week against New England, let's talk about some of the directions the team can go, I guess, is why I bring it up. But
no, of course. I'm going to look up the free agency. Don't mind me. Because I don't want my computer lag again, so I'm going to look it up on my phone.
While you guys deal with that, Kevin has arrived.
Get out of town.
And he's here.
Spotty's here?
Yeah,
there he is.
Evening, guys.
You SOB, you know,
Look.
if I would have told you I came on sooner, would you have come on earlier? I came on because I missed you.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna keep it real. Josh, it's good to see you, but my guy, I have a mentor situation, Jim, and that's kind of what it is that I'm working with.
No,
right
I
now.
hear you. I'm just teasing you. You know that.
I got it. I was trying to explain to CJ a little while ago that I have these responsibilities that it's difficult for me to get away, unfortunately, in these times, and I'm dealing with young children and I'm dealing with young men, and this is one of them situations right now where I have to be responsible.
Well, you're already a role model. I love the hat, so you're already a role model.
Thank you. I wanted to come on because realistically, what my takes on this game were I think they're a little bit wide ranging. I've been listening to all of these people complain about how bad we seem to be and how things are the end of the world and the coach sucks and the players suck and everybody sucks and nobody's actually worth anything and we can get rid of everybody and all of that, but realistically, I know Jim and I we kind of came into the beginning with high expectations for what could possibly play out, but if I'm just going to keep it real, we kind of should have maybe expected that there would be some hiccups, there would be some difficulties. And I think what it is that we're seeing right now is just how bad things actually are. I say this all the time. We don't draft veterans. Zach Wilson and himself being a rookie quarterback and having, obviously not only his own rookie, issues, but also having to deal with a coaching staff that don't necessarily have the experience and don't necessarily have the expertise to be able to, get him over the hump smoothly. I mean, it's just basically bump after bump after bump. And I do expect that we're going to grow from this. I do expect that we're going to be better going forward. I do expect that Zach, for all of, what it is that we've seen, the flashes, I think the reality is that the Tennessee game was not necessarily an anomaly. I think that is exactly what, should maybe be our expectation. We should be able to be like that. And when all aspects of the game are firing the way that they should. And I think unfortunately what we have right now is the problem is that we are not that well-oiled machine right now. Nothing is really firing the way that it should. The defense is obviously punching above its weight most of the time. The offense, has the ability to make those splash plays, to be prolific, and I think that Zach, as of right now, is reverting back to what it is that he knows. He knows big play. He knows large chunk play. That's what he knows. And I think that that's why it is that what we're seeing is the difficulty with the check down and all the other stuff that he's been having problems with, because those are things that, unfortunately, they just haven't been part of what have been successful for him. And what he wants to do is what he knows is successful. And, we're not there yet. We're not good enough yet for that to be, what our identity is, right? So I think we have to be patient. And I hate to say this, right? Because I'm the first one to tell you, that we have those Steve Buscemi moments, right? Another unfortunate side effect of hunger. We've been bad so long that all of our takes are out of character, all of our ideas and what it is that they should be. Everything is out of character because we aren't any good and we haven't been any good. And the problem that we have is that we are going to continue to see some of these things, and it's only going to get worse before it actually gets better, right? So I know it was, just kind of a little scatterbrain, but the fact is that most of us, I think, came into the season saying that there wasn't going to be, a requisite for wins or losses. We just want to see competent football. We just want to see, improvements. We want to see those things. And I'm just going to be honest with you. We can't judge a season until the season is over. So continuing with the knee-jerk week after week and everybody getting pissed off because, everybody wants to, nobody's any good. Zach sucks and the coaches suck and the defense sucks. Yeah, well, I mean, none of them have really done any of this before, right? Nobody's been good before. The ones that we know that have been good before have been good. CJ Mosley, he's been good. That's what it is that we recognize about why it is that I think that aspect of our team has actually played well. And that's, I think it was so noticeable last week with the defense playing the way that they did without CJ Mosley, right? or as poorly as they did because they were without C.J. Mosley. That begins to be, that begins to be obvious in what it is that we do. So going forward, right? It's cool to call out the deficiencies. It's cool to say, this didn't work well or that didn't work well. But all of the nonsense talking about, we need to trade this guy, we need to fire this coach, we need to get rid of the GM. I think that's nonsense. And every time I listen to it, it pisses me off even more. And you guys know I try to be pragmatic when it comes to these things. I try to have, at least remain logical. Sometimes, right after the game, we can be emotional because we do have to deal with the letdown of a loss. But some of this stuff is it's just stupid. Some of it's just stupid, and I'm really starting to get sick of it. So that's my rant. Pardon me. I don't know where you guys were at.
No. That's good. I think like my take is, so everybody that wants to throw Zach under the bus, or everybody that wants to throw the coaching staff under the bus and say it's time to start over, we've given them 6 games. It's just not enough time.
I mean, if you're saying that Zach is not the guy right now, then you're delusional. I mean, he's played in absolutely games. I mean, come on. I mean,
but you can't give.
Corey Davis is his number 1 receiver. I mean,
you can't give the previous regime. You can't give the coach who shall not be named 2 years and then give Robert Saleh 6 games. You just can't do it. Now, I want to point out that through the first 6 games, we'll call it 5 games. Zach Wilson's numbers have actually been better than Josh Allen's first 5 games of his career in Buffalo. More yards. He's got a few more interceptions, but more yards per game, more touchdowns than Josh Allen had in his first 5 games. Also, when you talk about coaching staff,
can I throw out with a worse staff though, right? Right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes, but that's
no. You're absolutely right. But then when you also think about the coaching staff, like Bill Parcells only won 3 games his first year coaching. Bill Walsh only won 1 game his first year of coaching. So these guys are in decent company. This stuff takes time. And I think Jets fans, they forget that we've been rebuilding for so long that they feel, some Jets fans just feel this is one continuous process, and it isn't. It absolutely isn't. This is a new regime, new coaching staff, new players. We finally have a GM, a coach, and a quarterback all in the same timeline. Just let this thing play out and let it happen the way it needs to happen.
I look at it in this situation. I mean, we were going back before, by the way, a couple of names I threw out for even offensive line. Kev, because Jimmy and I were talking about how you can possibly fix more along the lines of, like, we mentioned in the draft, like a Tyler Lindbaum is the guy that they absolutely 100% have to go after. I don't care where they get him. They need to get him. He's an anchor. They need a center. They haven't had a legit center, obviously, since Mangold. This has been a revolving door since he's left the building.
I wanted Humphrey this last year, and now he's like the 8th best rookie in the NFL right now. So
yep, they wanted Humphrey.
I can't argue that Vera Tucker. And I mean, Jimmy, you remember I felt a certain way about the trade when we actually made it. But realistically, I am not sure if Vera Tucker is in the long term going to be a better player for what it is that we need than maybe Creed Humphrey would have been, especially recognizing who it is that we would have to plug in next to Becton in that case. So, Joe Douglas is most definitely going to have his work cut out for him with the offensive line. And if I'm being realistic, I mean, it's difficult to say that with our first pick, we should be going center, considering that's probably going to be a top 10 pick just based on the way that we're looking right now. Do we go center top 10 pick? I don't think that's happened almost ever, right? Maybe not ever.
No, but you know what it is, Kev? I didn't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead, please.
A lot of mock drafts have Lindbaum going in the top 6 now, top 7. Like, that's crazy. He's slowly become the best offensive line prospect this draft, and he's the best center prospect in years that anybody has seen. And
I still say Humphreys.
Jimmy's point. Yeah, Jimmy's point. Yeah, Jimmy made that point last year that Humphrey was that guy, and I mean,
maybe now
you convinced me.
Get Lindbaum.
Yeah. You know? Listen, this. So overall, then, what's the prognosis for both of our first round picks? I mean, do we stand the chance of going offensive line in both positions because
No.
the reality is,
No.
and I know. Hold on, just hear me out on this because it's either that or we end up spending a ridiculous contract on maybe a replacement for Greg, whatever the guy's name is at right
Van
guard.
Roden or Van Stinko.
Yeah, Van
That's
Garbage.
a joke.
Look, he's not even a joke because that shit is not. Oh, excuse me, it's not funny. It's not funny how bad he is, right?
And he throws
And
everybody under the bus by himself.
Yeah, well,
His
I mean,
rookie
look,
quarterback.
Yeah, really.
part of why it is that Joe Douglas seems to be taking as much heat as he's taking right now is because of how bad Van Roten has been, right? So I mean, everybody's like, oh yeah, Joe Douglas has had ample enough time to be able to do what it is that he needed to do, so to not have Greg Van Roten be this bad, and I don't agree with that, right? I mean, there's only so much, especially. Let me just say this. I'll preface everything that I say going forward, excuse me, by saying this. We are talking about the New York Jets, right? We are talking about the New York Jets. And if you understand what that means, you're talking about depleted roster. You're talking about depleted, locker room situation. You're talking about the removing of the cancers. You're talking about having horrible coaching situations. You're talking about having suspect ownership, right? So, I mean, literally from the owner down to the training staff, when we had, half of our team on IR at one point, we've been a bad organization friendly every single year. So now all of these things are, where people are responding and reacting to things as if we've been the Steelers and we've been this great organization for all the time. No, we've been horrible. So when we do start to make some of these improvements and you realize, Mekhi Becton is a franchise, left tackle. Is the injury thing? Is it going to be something that people question? Yes. Does that mean he's a bust? No. Does that mean that Joe Douglas shouldn't have picked him? No. Does that mean that it was a horrible choice? No. Elijah Vera Tucker. We're seeing some of these things, kind of just in their beginning stages, learn to come into their own and to become. And they're not there yet. So the fact that they're not there yet means that they're not going to be there to quite a few of these people. And that in itself that's a huge problem for us because that as fans, right? Not necessarily as far as the team. As fans, that's a huge problem for us because now, Jimmy, we spend enough time, kind of following this team and trying to be involved in what goes on and staying abreast of the news and all of these things. But what it is that we're getting right now is we're getting the worst case scenario from all of these people who are looking at it as if the sky has already fallen. Right, the sky is falling already. Like half of it is in my living room right now, and I'm starting to get sick of it. Really, it's just getting to a point right now where I'm tired of listening to it. First off, but I don't know what else it is to expect, right? Because I say again, it's another unfortunate side effect of hunger. We've been so bad so long that until we actually do eat and we eat well, it is going to be, this Chicken Little where the sky is falling and everybody sucks, everybody needs to go. And I'm having a hard time because it then again it clouds even the positive stuff that we see on game day. It just makes it even that much more difficult.
I agree with Kevin. This asset of the problem is when it gets to free agency, you're gonna have to spend a pretty penny, right? We saw what the center from Green Bay got, right? From the Chargers.
Yeah.
It was a crazy contract.
Right?
And then we saw what Corey Linsley. And then who was the guard that
Thuney?
got Speedy?
Thuney.
Yeah. And Thuney was the dream free agent that Douglas really wanted.
I agree.
And the thing of it is this, like I'm looking at the offensive line free agency now. You have Orlando Brown, Brandon Sheriff, Terran Armstead, Wyatt Teller. I believe you mentioned him, right, Jimmy? I believe, did you mention, was it Teller you mentioned earlier?
No.
You mentioned somebody from Minnesota. And then you have Dwayne Brown. But like Brown, Sheriff, and Armstead are the three guys that are going to get a lot of money. I hate.
What about the kid from Kansas City that his name's been kind of being kicked around a little bit?
Yeah, you're talking about Brown, right?
No, Duvernay. Is that? I mean, I don't know. I just remember the name, and I remember somebody said that.
But
Duvernay Tardif, I think is what it is.
But it's like even like, listen, if you could get a Tyler Limbaugh and put him at center, and you're gonna have to spend on a Sheriff or a Brown to make it. And by the way, Kev, you were right. You were right. Speedy said so. You're gonna have if he really wants. Because let's be real here. Other than Thuney, Brandon Sheriff has been the dream target of Joe Douglas since he got to the Jets. And Sheriff has been franchise tagged every year by Washington. He can't be franchise tagged again. It's not allowed. So,
do they not want to pay him?
I think they were just bleeding them for whatever they could get without having to give them an extension.
That's exactly what it was. They never wanted to give him a contract extension, so they just franchise tagged him every single season. I think the last 3 or 4 years, I think it's a limit, right? You can't franchise somebody after, I believe, 2 years. So the last 2 years, he's gotten a franchise tag. They're going to have to spend money if they want a Brandon Sheriff here. They are. And they have the cap room to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way you can do. Like, I understand what Douglas is trying to do, and Jimmy, we touched on this before, even before Kev got here. Like, we get it. He wants to build the offensive line through the draft, and that's good and that's fine. But if you're going to do that, you're talking a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year project, because in every single year you're going to have a new rookie coming in every year. You need to have a veteran guy in there to put in place to tell the guys, hey, listen, we need to line up this way, that way. I need to, when the blitz is coming, you need to see it. Because let's be real here. Becton, last year, rookie. This year, now he's hurt. AVT, he's a rookie. If they draft Limbaugh, that's another rookie. That's 3 years in a row. You got to have consistency. You got to have a vet on there that you could trust on this offensive line. Like when the Jets had Ferguson and Mengold. But in between those two, they had Alan Faneca. Alan Faneca was a good rookie. Was a very good veteran. He was a Hall of Famer. A Hall of Fame vet. They signed Damian Woody. They put him over there. That's a Super Bowl winning lineman. It's another vet that they had.
Best offensive line in the league, best running game, the whole thing.
You're going to have to sign a I understand what Thuney and Lindsley got paid last year was ridiculous to the extent of like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody actually gave them that much guaranteed money. But that's the going rate for offensive linemen in free agency. Everybody needs them. And if the Jets really want Brandon Schiff, who's one of the top guards in this league, top 5 guard in this league, and the Jets have the cap room to do it. I know they have other needs. You're going to have to pay him to get him here. You are. And the same thing goes for if they want a wide receiver, right? All the Jet fans, like Allen Robinson, perfect guy to have. Or Devontae Adams, good guy to have, right? Really good player, top 5, top 10 receivers. If you want Allen Robinson here, you're going to have to sign him for big money. That's just the way
I don't necessarily, and I'll just say this with regards to the receivers, right? I don't think the receivers are the issue in particular.
No, they're not. I mean,
I get the point, right? Because we bring in Corey Davis, and the expectation is that Corey Davis would be better than he's been, and he's been decent, but he hasn't been good. And the argument now is going to be, oh yeah, we don't have a number one. We don't have a good enough team to justify having that type of guy anyway, right? We don't have tight ends. We don't have offensive line. Our run game, while we believe that we've got young, valuable players who are going to end up being decent, those guys haven't been effective either. So, I mean, what does that mean? We get a number one receiver that we paid, $20 million a year, and then what? The defenses then become so focused on him specifically that he's ineffective anyway. So now we're paying $20 million for a guy that's getting double and triple teamed and quite possibly is going to get hurt and doesn't have a quarterback who's going to be able to give him the ball, nor does he have an offensive coordinator who's going to scheme him to be open anyway. What difference does it make, right? We have so many other fish to fry currently that it makes all of these arguments really stupid. Now, the offensive line, I can't argue that, right? I do agree we probably should have done as much as possible to bring these guys in, but I do, again, believe that we don't do that at the cost of being able to do other things, right? We've been listening, oh yeah, we have too many holes, we have this, we have that, that's a deficiency, all of these different things, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to have the highest paid player at every position on the line, on both sides, in linebacker core and wide receiver. We're going to have the highest paid player at every position, because it's the Jets, and in order for us to be good, we have to do that. That's
Well,
not
that's
sustainable. Yeah, that's
it's
sustainable.
not. Ask the Dallas Cowboys. They had the highest paid player at the most positions in the NFL, and they haven't won anything since '96.
None. And look,
94?
Tony Romo
94?
was arguably one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen. You know, in how many? And the guy, how many playoff wins does he have? How many playoff appearances? You know, over the course of the time that he was there. So look, all of those things doesn't necessarily mean anything. What we're doing now, and what I think needs to be understood, that what it is that we are doing now has never been seen. It's never been done before, right? We can't say that Joe Namath came in and had this monster, you know, whatever the year that we won the Super Bowl. That wasn't necessarily what it was, and I'm not even going to say that I was born and alive to see it. But I mean, you go back and check the history, check the facts on what really it was. Like, we were a good team, but come on now, we weren't supposed to win that game. Joe Namath, for all intent and purposes, and I mean, I know I get a lot of flack for it, but Joe Namath wasn't even a really good quarterback. I mean, just statistically.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, he wasn't even a good quarterback. So, you know, all of these people that'll say, oh yeah, since Joe Willie, whatever. Joe Willie wasn't even a good quarterback. It was a culmination of all the planets and stars and moons and everything lining up, and we ended up winning. We ended up beating a beatable team. We won a winnable game. And that happens on any given Sunday. Ask the Tennessee Titans right now, right?
Yeah,
but,
which is why I think we can beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think we can too. The questions that I have right now are: Is Mike LaFleur going to allow Mike White to play ball, or is he going to treat him like Zach Wilson? And I'm sick of all of this conversation about coddling Zach Wilson. Why are you coddling your franchise player? Why are you not? You know, giving him target practice, right? And Jimmy, you remember this. I've been talking about this for how many years? Even with Sam Darnold, I'm sick of security blankets. I want him to have weapons. I want him to have guns and ammo. I want him to have rifles and rockets and tanks and I want him to have juggernauts and all kind of different stuff. You know, run these people over, blow these people up, do something. Stop talking about security blankets and all of this other stuff. I want if you know what, I want to see Zach Wilson throw 150 interceptions because he's doing everything that he can to try to get his weapons involved in this game. That he's trying to do as much as he possibly can, and the offensive coordinator is doing as much as they possibly can to get them acclimated to being prolific. That's what I want to see. Yeah, I'm sick of the check downs. I'm sick of run pass. I mean, look, if they run on first down one more time, I swear to God, I'm gonna kick a hole in the wall behind my TVs. I'm gonna put my foot all the way through both of them. I'm sick.
Look, I'm with Kevin on this one because the only thing you're doing is you're putting Zach in a detrimental situation because what's going to happen is when it gets to 3rd and 8, it's a 3rd and long then, right? And now it's like you're asking him already to do too much. And then what's every single time they're trying to do? I think the problem with Zach too is he tries to be a hero at times. Like he still thinks
that's the problem.
He still thinks he's at BYU, right? Like he's playing these teams where he could just chuck it down 45 yards and the guy's going to catch it every single time. And it's just not how it is in the NFL. And he's got to realize it. The other thing that they need to do is they need to utilize his legs more. No pun intended because of what happened with his injury. He's so much better throwing the ball on the run than he is staying in the pocket. Like, and I feel like they're not taking advantage of that situation. Like, go look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen makes most of his throws on the run. He's very good in the pocket, right? Like he scrambles out of the pocket. He finds Stephon. Like Corey Davis is not a number, right? We both can agree. Corey Davis is not a number one, right? Like can we both agree on that?
No,
I don't think we need a number one. I think he's our number one.
I'm not asking for an all pro. Now I'm not like because I know everybody's gonna say, oh well, Buffalo got Stephon Diggs. I mean that's what's helping. Josh Allen.
Corey Davis.
Josh Allen had John Brown and Cole Beasley. Like he had weapons.
That's what I'm saying. He has, and you know what? And the problem is the Jets have weapons. The problem is, and Jack said it earlier, and I know Jimmy and I talked off the air about it. The weapons aren't the problem. They're not being utilized the proper way. Like, why is Denzel Mims making a 35-yard catch in the first game of the season and then being told to sit out the rest of the game after that? Like,
why isn't Elijah Moore? Why isn't Elijah Moore our first down option? right?
Look what happened in the game last week, right? They did an out route, right? They gave him the ball on an out route, and he scored a touchdown. The kid's got speed, man. Use it. Look at Tooney for the Giants.
Give the quarterback an opportunity to get in the rhythm early. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be where Zach's throwing 15, 20 yards on first down. It doesn't have to be that. But get the ball out of his hands quick to a playmaker who actually is probably uniquely qualified to make people miss and make plays. That's the whole point. And if you're trying to think outside the box, do that. Throw a slant on first down, right? Whatever. Throw a hit. Throw an out. Do something else.
He has to make
get them DBs back on their heels instead of having them coming downhill because they know exactly what it is that we're going to do every single time.
The thing of it is that I'm seeing with Zach is the simple stuff. Like you're seeing Mac Jones make those underneath throws, right, constantly. But sometimes Zach misses on the underneath throws at times, or he does it. It's frustrating as can be, right? Because you're seeing. And listen, his wide receivers don't help him at times, right? Like Corey Davis drops a lot of passes. He does. And
35%.
He admitted it. He does. He admitted it.
35% on target throws have been dropped for Zach Wilson this year.
I mean, that's an insanely high number when you look at the talent that he has around him when it comes to Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios. Braxton Berrios could be a very good Keelan Cole. Braxton Berrios could be a good third wide receiver option if he's used the proper way on the slants. If he's
I'm still not sure why we're talking about Braxton Berrios.
See that?
I think that to me is hard. Why are we even talking about Braxton Berrios?
And that's the thing because they're so in love with him. They're not using their wide receivers to their strengths. Like they're not like Elijah Moore. You saw in college. Listen, he's a very good out receiver. He can catch deep balls. But my God, when you let him go in the middle of the field on a slant pass, the dude can turn the burners on and beat any defender. Yeah. They're not doing that with him at all. Like, even Jamison Crowder's really not even getting used that much. It's crazy. He's getting used to a minuscule amount, less than what he was with Sam. Like, the problem with Zach is he targets Corey a ton. He targets Davis.
Yeah, I thought they were using Crowder specifically to try to, boost his trade value. That was what it is that I was thinking. But the way that he's being used is the way that's possible. Yeah, I think that's
I would keep Crowder on a good contract. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's got a good contract. The whole idea about why they restructured made it more team friendly, right? It made it easier for us to be able to do what it is that we need to do and still pay him. But now, it also made the contract tradable. It made it easy to trade. But are they actually going to trade it? I mean,
I hope not.
I would hope not. I would hope not. But I'm just going to keep it real. If what they're going to do is they're going to squander the offense the way that they've been, then it kind of doesn't make sense. Like nothing that we're doing is making sense. Nothing.
And we talked earlier about the veteran in the QB room too. And if you go look at the cornerback room as well. There's not a single vet in that cornerback room. Not one.
2 years of experience total in the quarterback room. $3 million a cap hit.
They're literally their highest draft pick, and Jimmy and I were saying it is a 4th round draft pick.
Yeah.
And Bryce, you're trying to.
Bryce is a beast now. Bryce is establishing himself right now, but I don't necessarily know if the fact that they've been able to look as good as they have early is enough, right? I don't know if it's enough.
Like Echols has his moments, but it's
Echols is going to be who it is that he is, and we saw that last game. I said this. I think when we were having those discussions early in the season, Echols is just he's prone to giving up the big play at the inopportune time, and we saw it happen literally again this past week when he gets burnt for the touchdown. When again. You think that, he's in good position. You think that, everything is going to work out the way that we need to and the defense is doing what they're supposed to do. And then, he gets beat? Come on now. That's who he's been. We haven't been able
yet? Like, are we giving up on Davis or are we?
I am. I haven't seen him do much of anything at this point.
Stay healthy.
To say that he would be worth it. And look, I thought the kid was an athlete, But I don't really even see him, doing anything on special teams either. Maybe I might just be missing it, right? I might just be missing it.
No, between
really
him and
haven't
Blake
seen-
Cashman, I'm tired of the athletes of him and Blake Cashman. Cashman can't stay on the field either.
Break
Like,
glass.
no.
Cashman he's not even really good when he is on the field, right? So I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
what's the sense?
So I did want to say one thing that I think, because we mentioned Crowder, and I wanted to mention that there is, it astonishes me that there is such a gigantic misconception of Crowder's contract amongst Jets fans. I am
Please
tired.
break that down.
Yeah, you restructured
I am-
it friendly. It's crazy that people miss that.
No,
I am
because
so
we talked
tired
about
of people.
We talked about it.
I'm so tired of people saying that Jamison Crowder took a pay cut this year
No.
because he didn't. He absolutely didn't. He was guaranteed $0 this year.
Yep.
Guaranteed zero.
Not
Now he's guaranteed
Not
$5 million.
guaranteed money.
And it's a team-friendly deal. Crowder wanted to be here, and I can guarantee you he wanted to be here because of the fact that it was a $5 million restructure, because he could have got $10 million
Yep.
from 25 other teams. And he chose to stay here.
Yep.
Now that is a player that I want on this team. I would be perfectly happy having Jamison Crowder on a 3-year, $30 million extension, guarantee 17 to 20 million over the next 3 years. I'd be perfectly happy having that. And people are so like, but then why do we have Elijah Moore? It just, with the contracts, it just baffles me that people don't understand, because we talk about, like you mentioned, you want that vet presence on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We do need one. Why the hell wouldn't we want a vet, one of the best to ever play the slot receiver in the NFL? Why wouldn't we want that knowledge and that level of leadership in our wide receiver room?
I mean,
Especially when we have more.
I mean, this team's already Jim? Like one of the youngest team in the league. They have no vet. They have no, until they got Flacco, had no vet in the QB room, no vet in the cornerback room. I mean, it's to me, really, I mean,
So the two positions, Josh, right there, right? You're talking about quarterback and you're talking about your corners. Those are the two most difficult positions to play in sports, period. Kevin will agree with me. Cornerback is easily the second most difficult position to play.
Behind quarterback.
In sports.
It is you're on your island. You're on an island, legitimately, against some of the best athletes available, period.
You have to know what the receiver's going to do. You have to check body language. You have to know what the quarterback's going to do. You have to simultaneously watch your receiver and the quarterback and find out what's happening. Like, it is a tough position, and I give credit to these young kids being able to do what they've been able to do this year. Even Zach Wilson, he's had it rough, and he's made some mistakes, but to be able to play at the level that he's played at without any veteran leadership behind him has been amazing. Corners as well, with Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, all those guys are doing really well. But you can't just keep that. You can't just keep banking on that being the case. You can't keep your defense. You can't keep the cornerbacks on the field 80% of the game and expect them to play at top 5 level every minute of every game.
And if
it just doesn't work.
And if you're going to bring a vet in, and I know CJ mentioned this in our chat, if you're going to bring a vet in, please stop bringing in a vet like dumpster diving. That's like pretty much finished. Like, please stop.
That's why I say we need to have
bring in a legit vet. Please.
We need to have a very, for lack of a better term, we need to have a lackluster free agency this offseason. We need to save our cap space to start paying our players. We need to keep building the trenches. We need to keep building through the draft and start using our salary cap to pay and keep our players.
No, that's fine. And like I said, there's only if there's one player that you could bring in that's a vet that's going to be costly, I think Sheriff would be the vet I would go for.
Yeah, me too.
You need an anchor on that line. There's no voice on that. There's no voice on that offensive line right now.
And Sheriff has in a perfect world, I would say Thuney because Thuney doesn't get injured.
No, of course.
But
Thuney, yeah. And Thuney got hurt
Scherf's
this year,
had
as
some.
crazy as that is, right? Like Thuney got hurt this year, as crazy as that is, right? But it's like
But yeah,
I think this would have been the game this week. I would have been curious to see how Zach would have done. Because who has Zach targeted every game? Who does he always target first glance?
Davis.
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis. And now
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis would have been out this week. I wanted to see how Zach would do without Corey Davis and trying to get his other receivers on the team involved. Right?
Well, that's a good segue because we're coming up.
It becomes the Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims show if that happens, and that's kind of the point, right? That's what we were expecting. That's what we needed. That's basically how it was supposed to go, guys. But I got to apologize. I'm getting summoned. I got to go. Please excuse me. I'm sorry. I got to bounce.
Not a problem. Thanks for coming by, Kev.
Look, next week I'll be back full time. I'll check you guys later. Thank you.
All right. So I know
But that's a good segue, Josh, and
I think.
And I appreciate it. If you got just a few more minutes, I think we're probably going to end a little bit early tonight. But
no, that's totally fine. My wife's not even. She's staying at her sister's tonight because the weather's terrible.
Hey.
She didn't want to drive home. She didn't want to drive home tonight.
Well, hey, that's
you know
you gotta stay safe out there.
I'm watching the Rangers, man. They're winning 2-0. Watch me jinx it. Like that's what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean,
it's so hard. It's so hard to be a Jets fan because I'm also a Rangers fan, and most Jets fans are Islander fans.
Behind me.
Yeah, but I'm also a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan.
See, that's like a weird combo, though. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's usually what is it? Mets, Jets, Islanders, Nets, and then it's Yankees, Giants, Knicks, Rangers. So it's weird. I'm Mets, Jets, Rangers, Knicks. I'm half and half.
See, and I'm from Brooklyn, so I should be a Nets fan, but I've been Knicks. I've been Knicks for.
They're phony. They're phony.
I know. I've been Knicks fans since back in the day.
I
don't like basketball, but I mean, obviously,
I gotta. So my cousins, really quick, I know we're running on time. And yes, Speedy is right. The Nets game is all playoff games. That's why I made the joke when I was on Sports Llama. As I said, maybe we should probably help those businesses, right? We should help those businesses out, help the Nets out, try to sell tickets, those local businesses. But I was actually at the Knicks game, so my cousin's a security guard at MSG. So I always get like comp tickets for the Rangers and the Knicks.
Nice.
And I went to the Knicks game with my dad the night when they played Philadelphia, and I've been to a basketball game in like 3 or 4 years. I'm a huge Knicks fan. And Speedy knows this. I'm a huge Knicks fan. And my dad is too. And we're both sitting there. We're both like, there's too much going on. You got the Knicks City Dancers, and you got a DJ on this side of the game, and Kemba Walker's trying to shoot, and you hear a song go off, and they're throwing T-shirts from a machine that has smoke coming out of it too. I said, there's too much going on in a basketball game right now, man. This is why I go to hockey games. Like I can't hockey. You watch, you sit, you look at it. Basketball, there's too much for my brain to handle.
Yeah, I've never just been able to follow it. Football is my brain just seems to click and function on football. So that's
it. I haven't been to a Jet game in a couple of years. I'm long overdue. Well, I would say the last time I went to a Jet game was when they played Minnesota a couple of years ago.
I was going to be at Jets Colts this year, but I'm back in Idaho, so that's off the table. But I'm going to try to get to a game. At the very least, next year, definitely I'll be in Jersey for.
I guess the closest state for you to go to a game is what, Seattle?
Yeah.
Or for Washington, it would be for Washington to go to a Seahawks game. I mean, it'd be fun to go. It'd be fun to go to the stadium just to feel the crowd, right? Because when you go to MetLife, you don't get that. I call it the big tuna can. That's what I call it. The big tuna fish can at MetLife.
I want the Jets to have their own home.
So do I.
Really do.
You know what and you know what they should have done, and I always say this: they should have. Obviously, the West, even the West Side Stadium would have been nice, but you can't tailgate because it's in Manhattan. So how are you going to tailgate, right? That would have sucked.
I don't see why they couldn't have just taken where Yankee Stadium was.
No, not even go to where Shea Stadium was, because remember that's where the Jets originally were in Queens. The Jets were originally in Queens. Just put them. So the thing is, because most Jet fans, Jim, and you know this, are mostly in Queens, Brooklyn, and a lot of it is Long Island. Long Island is very heavy Jet territory.
Definitely.
So I think having it in Queens would have been ideal. But I think Woody was so. Listen, when you have Woody Johnson and the Maras trying to come up with a stadium idea, like you're due for a disaster.
Yeah.
They literally got. I call it the big tuna fish can. It's literally what it looks like. It's literally garbage. But I mean, it's really just it's no, it's not for me.
But one day maybe. I heard there were plans that were talking like 2026 or something like that, but that's probably just rumor.
I think we should get all the guys that are in the chat, Wookie, me, CJ, Kev, you, Mike, Keith, get everybody in there and just go to a game and just sit through the misery together and just hear CJ have a rant in the stands for a couple minutes.
I'm down.
I'm down. Between him and Kevin, it'll be awesome. That would be better than the game. I mean, literally, that would be better than the game. I'd sit there and I pay money just to sit there to listen to the two of them rant. It'd be so fun.
100%.
Oh, my God. It'd be so much better than the game.
So as far as Cincinnati's concerned, Josh, what are your thoughts on this game coming up?
I know you and Kev. Listen, I think they can beat the Bengals too, right? Like Kevin said, any given Sunday. I know you and I don't think they're going to. I just think Jamar Chase is going to be too much. And it's crazy, but look at what he's done what he did to Baltimore alone last week in Baltimore.
Yeah,
was impressive. But that defense is flying right now for the Bengals too. That defense,
yeah.
What they did to Lamar Jackson last week was so impressive. They just shut him down.
Bryce Hall is going to have the toughest test of his career going against Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase has actually proven a lot of people wrong.
Yes, he has.
I mean, obviously, you get Joe Burrow coming off a rookie season-ending knee injury, and then they choose a wide receiver over probably the best tackle prospect in history in Penei Sewell.
And that's exactly who I said they should have picked. And I said it was a mistake.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too.
We did our mock draft on Loudmats. Me, Errol Speedy, Jeff was there. I forget who else. Somebody, Carl. Yeah, Carl was there too. And I don't know if any of us picked Jamar Chase going to the Bengals. Maybe we did. I didn't. I picked Sewell, and I said it was going to be a mistake because Burrow was coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
When that happens,
a bad one.
You're scared that if he gets one more hit, oh my God, the ceiling's coming down again for Houday Nation, right? Like that's what's going to happen.
I always thought Jamar Chase was a target just because of their LSU connection.
That's what I said too. I said I thought they would pick him because they were very good friends at LSU. They were tight, they were close, and everything.
But after the preseason, because obviously
in the preseason he was terrible.
He started blaming the ball. I specifically did not
have Jimmy in the preseason.
Oh, half a dozen
3
easily.
or 4 drops on simple routes. He didn't know the routes.
He's like, well, the NFL ball doesn't have the white stripes on the sides like they do in college. And I'm like, as soon as he said that,
I was like, oh God,
I was drafting my fantasy leagues.
Yep.
And I specifically didn't take Jamar Chase because I was like,
Devontae Smith would be the better one. And Devontae Smith could still be a good player. The problem is he got no quarterback.
No, I mean, and then Miami thinks that they're actually getting Deshaun Watson this year, and I just don't see how that's possible.
I don't understand how they think they're getting him if Stephen Ross wants this whole court stuff to get clarified before they trade him.
It's 23 accusations, and now there are now I think 2 or 3 federal human trafficking investigations involved. Not saying that Deshaun Watson is being investigated for that, but some of the accusations have linked into some of these federal investigations. That's not getting resolved in 4 days.
No, it's not. And honestly, I can tell you this, Jim. My brother's a massive Dolphins fan, and my brother was telling me, listen, if they get Deshaun Watson, fine. A lot of people are not going to be happy with it. But the problem is Stephen Ross is, I think, 80 years old. He's not getting younger. That my brother was telling me, look, they need to do something. But the problem is when you look at Tua's numbers, call me crazy, I'm not a Tua fan. They're not awful. They're really not that bad.
No, I
look at the numbers, deep dive into it. They're not horrible. It's just
the problem with the Dolphins is they're a house of cards. As soon as you take a piece away, it crumbles.
I mean, that's exactly what right, and that's the thing. It was. So, listen, I still think Brian Flores is a good coach, and if he does get let go, I think they're crazy. If they let him go, he's going to get hired on the spot. And my brother doesn't think they're going to fire. My brother said if they fire Brian Flores, they're going to suck for the next 10 years. He literally said that. He goes, "It's stupid if that happens."
If they try to go for Deshaun Watson legitimately, they're going to suck for the next 10 years.
Well, that's it. Because let me ask you: here's the
because
problem.
they're sacrificing their future.
They're sacrificing their future. One and two, you don't know what's going to happen. Say, for example, he is guilty in one of these. Now, again, innocent to proven guilty, right? That's
for sure.
That's the way the government. That's the way the Constitution works. You're innocent till you're proven guilty.
100%.
If he's in guilty in one or two of those, how is he playing football again? Like, go look at like Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer didn't play baseball the rest of the season. Like, and that cost the Dodgers.
Who's that? Who's that Raven?
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice was a top 5. Ray Rice, you could make the case, was top 5 running back at the time.
Yeah.
And
done.
Shown on the camera, beat his fiance on the elevator. Done. It's a simple snap of a finger where you have a problem like that, where it goes awry quickly. Now, again, we're not saying Jimmy and I are not saying he's guilty. We're not. We're just saying as a disclaimer, you're taking a ballsy chance because if you trade those draft picks,
a multi-billion-dollar-a-year organization will not take that risk, or should not.
No, and if you trade all those draft picks, and by the way, they traded their first-round pick. Remember to Philly? You remember?
Tunsil, yeah.
Yeah. No. That was when they swapped the picks with the four. I think it was like they traded the pick with Philly. With Phil, yeah. With the
yeah. Okay,
and then they swapped the picks. And now San Francisco, I believe, Philadelphia owns that pick, so they get the 49ers pick because the 49ers they trade up to get Lance. It was a whole thing that in like an hour. It was crazy how fast it happened.
Yeah.
They don't have that early first round pick anymore, possibly. Like that's a killer for that team. So all those draft picks that they got, I mean, and even for so they got for Tunsil and Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
And nothing's changed in Miami. So I know we're getting off topic. We're going to talk about the Bengals game, but you're taking a ballsy chance, man. Not even just a player on the field, but a PR hit off the field. Because if he is guilty with one thing, he's not playing anymore. And the Texans are laughing their way, saying, well, we saw it. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. You trade us all that draft capital. Good for you. Thank you. God bless. You. Doing business with you anytime, Stephen Ross.
And that also ties into I think David Culley in Houston is a placeholder is a placeholder coaching spot because it was such a bad coaching job this year.
Nobody wanted that job, man. Nobody wanted that job because they had no clarity on Watson.
Yeah.
It's like, and really quick before we go, it's a little off topic. Did you hear what Sirianni from Philadelphia said the other day?
No.
So somebody in the media asked him about how bad the defense was. Who did they lose to last week? Philadelphia. They lost to Speedy would know. Speedy will get for me in a second. They had a really bad, the Raiders. They had a very bad game. And somebody asked him about the defense, and he goes, I don't know. I don't watch the defensive film. I was like, bro, you're a head coach. And you say I don't watch the defensive film?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know, man.
Adam Gase is a moron. Adam Gase never even said that. Like, we all know Adam Gase never watched the defensive film, right? We all know that.
I don't think Adam Gase found the channel.
I don't know. I think he had that black and white TV with the turnstiles that trying to get
Yeah.
fix the antennas because it was staticky in the office. You know what I'm saying? I think Mike McCagnon paid for that TV. But you know, when somebody says that, it's like terrible, man. I don't watch the defensive film, and you're the head coach.
Yeah,
You're not gonna
there's
last.
some things you just,
Philadelphia too, man.
whether it's true or not, there's just some things that you don't divulge to the media.
You don't
but
say that, especially in a place like Philadelphia.
no,
You don't say that.
but I just my final thoughts on this because
Yeah.
we're about to shut her down for the night. I think my position on the Jets this year has kind of been misconstrued from my audience. I've been on a bunch of shows. I've been on Green Bean's show. I've been on Jets Talk 24/7. We've talked to Matt O'Leary and all these guys about this stuff, and I've said from the start that the Jets were capable of winning 11 this year, and I stand by that. That yes, with we could have done that, and we still can win a handful more this year, in my opinion. But classic Jets, Josh, and I think that you'll know what I'm talking about here. Is the Jets always seem to win when we're not supposed to win,
Yes.
and we always seem to lose when we're not supposed to.
Does that always kill our draft picks? That kills our draft picks.
And I just think that Cincinnati can be a get-right game for the Jets. Obviously, with Zach being out, not saying it's going to be a quarterback type of a game. I'm just saying that our defense can get back into the swing of it. Our offense can start to get a game plan going. And I think it's a 24-21 Jets win. We've just shown that we can shut down top elite players. We did it to, Christian McCaffrey did have 197 all-purpose yards against us, but he didn't score in week 1. And then we held Derrick Henry to 1 touchdown and like 154 yards. And I think he was all but taken out of the passing game. So I think that we're able to shut down Burrow and Chase. And I think the Jets squeak out a narrow victory here when we're not supposed to.
I had the Jets. It's gonna be hard. I had the Jets winning 5 games this year. I did. Before the year started, I did. I was a little, not because I thought they were bad, but because I felt like they're still building. I don't know what Mike White is. I know he played well last week against New England, but now they've seen film on him.
Well, I mean,
somewhat of a film, I guess.
It all comes down to game plan. So Mike LaFleur is still going to have to pull something out, and he's got to get right. So
man,
maybe he does it.
I hope. Listen, I'm going to give Cincinnati this game. I say 24-13. I just think
I get that.
This could be a letdown game, right? They just beat Baltimore last week. This could be a letdown. It happens all the time. The Jets are the kings of it. The Jets are the best at it. So
Dallas,
Jeff is still celebrating about the Dallas game. He's still, like Robbie Anderson running to the end.
I want a jersey off of that game, man.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I want a jersey off of that game, that Dallas game.
Did you really?
I did.
Which
it took the guy a year and a half to pay up, but I got it.
Oh.
All right. Well, Josh, go ahead.
It's gonna be tough. It will be.
It's going to be a tough game. I'm not saying it is, and it's a lot of it is probably going to be hard to watch. That's why I'm thinking a 24-21. Matt Amendola is going to play a big part in this one, I think.
Oh God, how bad has he been the last few weeks? My goodness, they got to get a kick.
I still think he's the guy. I still think he could be the guy.
You know what it is? I get so pissed off because I see how good Jason Myers is. It just bothers the crap out of me.
Preaching to the choir. I said that Myers should have been the one signing. All he wanted was a multi-year contract, and McCagnon didn't do it. They let him go over $7 million.
I mean, let's be real here. He traded for Kelechi Osemele, and he said that was it. I'm done rebuilding the offensive line for that offseason. I'm done. Oh wait, no. He got Chuma Edoga in the 5th round. Okay, that's good. That's good. 2 draft picks. His high draft pick was in the 5th round. As a GM, and out of the offensive line.
All I can say is I thank God that McCagnon nightmare is over. And Trumaine Johnson my last words
really
on
quick,
that.
I know we have to run. Have we heard anything about Cam Clark? Like a word? Like what's going on? Is he like out of the loop now?
I think he's got I don't know what's happening, but he's got a blood disorder that I believe. It's a non-football illness, but the last I heard, we were talking about it. I was on Live Rounds with Kevin Robbins a couple nights ago, and that could potentially be career-ending.
Probably.
I don't.
He was a third-round pick, right? Third round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope the best for Cam Clark. I hope he's okay, and if he can't play football anymore, then I wish the best for him. But
absolutely,
speedy recovery to Cam. All right, guys, we are running out of time here. I definitely want to thank Josh Silverberg for hanging out with me. Much appreciated.
Jimmy, of course, man, anytime. And glad I came on tonight now to help out and everything like that. Speedy got a little memory with me talking sports again. So, I mean, that makes him happy, of course.
Yes, we needed you to make fun of the Nets. It was very necessary.
Oh, dude. Really quick, I know we got to run. Jimmy, if you don't know this with me, I made a net joke every time we did Sports Loudmouths. And Speedy remembers. I made at least one different one. And I remember when the Nets made the playoffs and they were saying we should help out local businesses do better in New York. And I said, well, let's help out the Brooklyn Nets. Let's help out small local businesses. The Brooklyn Nets were one of them. So it's, I mean, that was a winner that night.
Nets fans and LA sports fans are the easiest to make fun of.
Oh,
that's true.
That's why nobody roots for them.
That is true.
That's true. The Rams had to have have actors portray fans in a critical Week 14 game against the Eagles in 2017.
Well, then
because they didn't have enough attendance.
That's
a critical game. Both teams were playoff teams.
Yeah, and by the way, shout out to the Oakland Athletics for getting their new stadium approved.
About time.
Good for them. Their waterfront stadium. Good for them. So they're staying in Oakland. Good.
Now I just need a manager.
Yeah.
So do the Yankees, though. I don't trust Boone, man.
I don't think Boone is. Oh, I mean, we could listen. I know we could.
And a new general manager. I think Cashman's had it.
That's where the problem is. Everybody wants to say Boone is a problem, and I get that. At the same time, listen, I'm a Met fan. We don't even have a manager. At least you got somebody in the building. Give Boone credit for having to take Cole out of that game. Let's be real here. Brian Cashman built that team. The team sucks.
He did, by the direction of George Steinbrenner. Rest in peace, my friend.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, George Steinbrenner would have fired everybody after that wild card game.
Oh, 100%.
Aaron Boone would have been fired 2 years ago. Are you kidding me?
Steinbrenner would have fired everybody every year for the last 15 years.
But see, that's the funny thing, though. It wasn't all Steinbrenner that won those championship teams. Remember, it was Gene Michael.
Yeah,
was basically the sole reason that the Yankees got all those guys, and Steinbrenner came back after he was suspended from baseball.
The glory days of
it was the
Hideki Matsui and
those are your glory days. Those are my nightmares. Those are my nightmares, Jimmy. Those are your glory days, my nightmares. I still had Beyonce hitting that fly ball to Bernie Williams' glove in 2000. I thought it was a home run. Shoot.
Yeah.
SOBs, man. But
we haven't had a good catcher since Jorge Posada. But
you got to have a guy pee on his hands like Posada used to do before games. That's what it is.
Hey, if it gets us another championship, I'm okay with it.
Oh, Jimmy,
I'll even shake his hand.
Montero wasn't good.
Ask the Seattle Mariners that question. not that Pineda was any better, but But listen, man.
Speedy, you and me are very much in agreement on analytics. So if you want to talk about analytics, Jorge Posada was the best Yankee catcher in the last 50 years.
Ask Speedy. You can ask Speedy. Speedy, am I not a huge advocate on the analytics stage?
All right, at least you'll respect it more than the Beef does.
I completely.
Yeah, we had that argument.
Yes.
I mean, listen,
you were literally the single-handedly won the comment section for just.
Right. Yeah, that was a good show.
I mean, but listen, Jimmy, I really do appreciate you having me on.
Happy to have you.
I come back on when CJ's here and Kev's here, and I got to get back on Easy Being Green with Keith and Michael, because I know for a fact Keith and I are going to yell at each other back and forth about this veteran quarterback in the room, and it would have made a difference. So, but I appreciate you having me on, and anytime you need me to come on, man, I'm here.
Definitely.
For it, and we'll keep in touch on the text.
As CJ always says, there's an open invitation for Weapons Hot, my friend. You guys are always welcome. And CJ usually does these outros. I'm not very good at them, but what I will say, guys, thank you all for being here. And I do want you to go to your iOS store or your Android market, download the Worldwide Sports Radio Network app. It's absolutely free. You get access to this fantastic show and a ton of other sports content from across the country. There's just a ton of great content creators on there, a ton of great shows. So definitely download the app, give us a shot. And I don't know. CJ is always the one that does this, but
I'm happy I'm going to be leading your show now going forward, man. 5:30
yeah.
on Fridays. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure.
But for everybody here, we definitely appreciate you all once again. This is your boy Jets by Jimmy signing off. Have a great weekend, everybody, and go Jets.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.